Welcome back, guys, to the channel. I'm Jake Ellenbogen of the Jake Ellenbogen channel, and I'm here again. We're back. We did a Matthew Stafford stat prediction, or rather stat projection video. Now we're going to be doing Cam Akers, and we're going to go through everyone, or at least try to, on the Rams. I know that's, a video series that I think you guys would really like. The majority of my subscriber base are Rams fans, so figured we would go this way. Before I get into it, be sure to subscribe, hit that like, and drop a comment if you enjoyed the video. Helps the algorithm. All right, let's get into it. So we have Cam Akers, who is a second-year running back, was drafted 52nd overall out of Florida State last season. He had an interesting season, kind of hampered by injury, only started 5 games, played 13, really came on strong in the playoffs. When you look at his 2 touchdowns, 625 yards on 145 attempts, that was a 4.3 yards per carry average. That was pretty much having, a top 10 offensive line according to PFF, but at the same time, they didn't really have the greatest passing attack, and because of that, teams were just stacking the box. They knew they wanted to run. They weren't scared of Jared Goff. So insert Matthew Stafford, and now I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities, as well as Darrell Henderson, who will be my next video. And so I'm really excited to kind of, break it all down. It's going to be another quick hitter video, of course, but again, really excited. So went through, I've already calculated all the Rams statistics and everything, but I'm just going to give you Cam Akers in this one. We're going to go video by video. So we're starting off Cam Akers. He's going to play 17 games. I'm doing all 17. I know it's not realistic. There's going to be injuries. Cam did get hurt, only played 13, like I mentioned, in the regular season, but we're just doing 17 games. So starting off, 230 carries, which is up from his 145 last year, as we already discussed. I understand people might think this is rather low, but when you look at the fact that they have Stafford and what I project Stafford to do, I think they're more likely going to be throwing the ball, where Cam Akers won't be running 400 times like in Ezekiel Elliott with Dallas when they weren't really comfortable in Dak Prescott yet. With that said, 230 carries also is splitting with Darrell Henderson, and you could see some Xavier Jones. You also should probably see a bunch of Tutu Atwell and Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and Deshaun Jackson and Van Jefferson in those jet motion opportunities, those jet sweeps, end arounds, whatever you want to call them. So I'm factoring in for that. We have 1,155 yards, so Cam Akers does go over the 1,000-yard mark in his second season, his first season as a starter. I think this is realistic. I understand, people are wondering, you have Stafford going over 5,000 yards, throwing 51 touchdowns. Do you not think Cam Akers is going to get the football? I do, but ultimately, I think this Rams team and this Rams offense has a chance to be one of the top all-time offenses, according to net yardage. And when you look at the top of that list, I mean, you can look at New Orleans Saints in 2011. They have 7,474 yards of total offense. They are the all-time leaders. Second are the Denver Broncos of 2013 with the ridiculous 55 touchdown Peyton Manning season. And then third are the St. Louis Rams in 2000, the greatest show on turf. 75. So when you look at the yards there, the Broncos scored 76 touchdowns, the Rams scored 67, and then the Saints scored 66. That's what I'm looking at in a sense. So I do think the Rams can get done, especially they have another game. I think that other game is really going to make these records more obtainable. So we have 230 carries, 1,155 yards. I only have 9 rushing touchdowns. This isn't Todd Gurley. When Todd Gurley had 17 rushing touchdowns, that was because they didn't trust Jared Goff to put the ball in the end zone, and Gurley was automatic at the goal line. Now they go out, they get a Jacob Harris who could be used entirely as a special teamer and a red zone contributor. They have Bryson Hopkins, they have Tyler Higbee. Those guys are all above 6'4". And then when you look at the ability of a Van Jefferson to go up and get it, I think you could throw him in there. You saw Cooper Kupp go up and get in the playoffs against Seattle. So they have weapons to utilize in the red zone. You're probably going to see a lot of Higbee. You're going to see a lot of Bryson. And I think you'll see some Jacob Harris isolated on those one-on-one end zone fades with Stafford. That pinpoint accuracy, I think, is going to pan out. So that is why I only have 9 rushing touchdowns for Cam Akers as opposed to having 17 like Gurley. Next, 67.9 yards per game. You guys could have figured that if you already did the math, but you don't need to do the math because I did it for you. 67.9, that's pretty good. Like I said, over 1,000 yards. Anybody I think will be cool if Cam Akers goes over 1,000. They're not looking for him to break records or anything like that, but he could. I'm not going to say he can't. Very talented back. He ends up with a 5.02 yards per carry average, which would be the best since, of course, Gurley in his prime before the knee issues came up. But Cam Akers had 4.3 last year, Darrell Henderson had 4.5, and Malcolm Brown had 4.1. Like I said, I expect a lot of things to open up because of Matthew Stafford's arrival, having those weapons, and so for that, that's what I decided to do. Now we get into the receiving game of the running back because I think this guy has a complete game. They won't use him the way they used Gurley, but I have 34 receptions for Cam Akers. I think last year you look at his 11 receptions, he had 14 targets. You have 33 targets and 23 receptions from Malcolm Brown, 16 receptions out of 24 targets from Darrell Henderson. You factor in they've added more to the receiver room and they're deeper, so I can't just give him all the targets that Malcolm Brown had and Henderson, but I can say 34 receptions I think people would sign up for. He's getting 341 receiving yards out of that. I think that's realistic. That's around a 10.02 receiving yards, yards per catch ratio, and fans would be okay with that. His ability in the receiving game, we saw a little bit of it being used with John Wolford towards the end of the season. You saw it in the playoffs. This guy is going to help you in every way. I think the thing is with Cam Akers, and this is why I wouldn't pick him in the first round of like a fantasy draft, is because I don't think he's going to get the opportunity that a Saquon Barkley is going to get. Despite the fact they added a Kenny Golladay and all those guys, Saquon is the guy. And I think Cam Akers is the guy in the running back room, but they're also going to use Henderson. I think they'll use Xavier Jones more than people think. And they added Jackson and Atwell to go with Van Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods in arguably, I don't think really arguably, the deepest receiver group in the NFL. Next, we have one receiving touchdown. Okay, I don't think he's going to get a ton. He had a receiving touchdown last year. This isn't somebody I expect to be a dynamic player in the passing attack. This is somebody I expect them to use, hit them with a wheel route here and there, go 45 to 50 yards. But this isn't somebody that's going to be used all the time in the receiving game. They could use him that way, but again, I feel like they use those screens and what have you to get really things really comfortable for Jared Goff. Whereas now, you have all these weapons. You have a veteran quarterback. I don't expect them to use the running backs out of the backfield as pass catchers as much as, say, Gurley was used in 2018 and 2017. And then finally here, wrapping this video up, we have 1,496 total yards from scrimmage, just shy of 1,500. That's a hell of a season in his second year for Cam Akers of the Los Angeles Rams. And that's kind of how I feel. Could he go to 2,000 total yards? Yes. Could the Rams not throw it as much as I'm saying? Yes. But I think this is more realistic for what my expectations are for Matthew Stafford. I think ultimately you're looking at a player that is going to be used like he is the best thing Sean McVay has come across. And, for people saying they're not going to throw that much, look at the Broncos when they got Peyton Manning. Look at the Saints. Not long after they got Drew Brees, they were constantly having him chuck it down the field. Keep in mind, he started with the Chargers. And then the Rams with Kurt Warner. When you get that quarterback, things change. Kurt Warner was a total upgrade over having a guy like a Tony Banks. And so the organization just changed. And I think Jared Goff is a good quarterback. And I think there's a chance that the Lions win 8 to 9 games with him. And there's a chance that he finds himself in another fashion by going to a different organization. But ultimately, I'm very high on Stafford. I think he can turn into a top 5 quarterback this year. And as I said, he's going to win the MVP in my projections. So I think you're looking at a sub 1,500 yard season of total offense out of Cam Akers, and Darrell Henderson will be used more than people think. That's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you want to subscribe and you haven't already, be sure to hit that button. If you want to join, $4.99 a month to be a member of this channel. And if you want to support me, I'm over on Patreon, JK Bogan. So, really appreciate you guys. It's awesome. And if you guys tuned in last night for the gaming stream, we're going to be doing all sorts of content on here. I am listening to you guys asking for more Rams content. I've reached out to see what you guys would want, and I got a lot of Rams responses. So we're gonna be ramping things up. But you guys take care, and we'll be back tomorrow. Later, guys.